welcome back. Now, the Ghana Chamber of Mines is talking about commitment to health and safety as part of its National Safety Week. And they're here to tell us about the National Intermines First Aid and Safety Competition, which is an annual contest designed to educate mine workers, host communities, and the citizenry on basic first aid tips, as well as to foster the adoption of basic safety measures. Joining us this morning, Mr. Eric Jemfiapia. He's a safety manager, Anglo Gold Ashanti. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name. Do you want to just pronounce it for me?
Idriaprim Mine.
Aha, that one. That's one. Okay. Idriaprim Mines. And Joe Steve Annan, Senior Manager, Health and Safety, Anglo Gold Ashanti. So good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So I'm tempted to do a mini competition on first aid with you guys. Would you do well if we did? It's about a competition, isn't it?
Interesting. Yeah. We're not here for competition. We're here to sensitize people about the need
to know
for the intent of the competition. Not
I
the competition
see. So if I asked you some first aid questions, you would not be able to answer?
Oh, it's not about being able to
You
answer.
know I'm just worrying.
I know, right? And it's not just first aid, it's safety and first aid.
It's safety and Exactly. No, I mean, I was reading the concept notes and I thought, let me be a little bit mischievous this morning. Okay, so let's get into it. So the concepts of first aid and safety, how are they related in the first place?
So let me pick that one. First aid and safety. So if you take the whole scope of health and safety, so before somebody gets, let's say, injured from an accident, there must have been a failure in a certain control of an activity. That control was put in place from either some risk assessment or design or construction. That construction was put in place as a result of some conceptual design or engineering design. So health and safety spans from engineering design, construction, execution, controls, and then if something goes wrong, we have the injury. So if that injury is attended to early, then it can prevent somebody from either dying or getting some disability or something like that. That is the first aid aspect. But talking about health and safety in general, for instance, we have a tank. If the tank, you don't cover it well, somebody will fall in it. If you don't design it well, you can't cover it well. If somebody falls in it, he gets injured. If somebody gets injured, you attend to him first aid. So the first aid is an aspect of the entire health and safety.
Of the health and safety.
Exactly.
I think as you describe it, my mind goes to the kind of attention to detail that sometimes is lacking, especially here in our country. You know how, somebody will build something and the thing that's supposed to cover it doesn't fit properly.
There you go.
Things don't fit properly. And we don't think about the long-term effects of these things. So, I mean, really, you really want to bring our minds to the importance of those things.
Exactly the point. So in the mines, we do all this. So before we say we are going to build a particular machinery, we have review of the design. People come into, okay, this one, if we build it here, people will be impacted. If we don't put in these controls, these are the accidents that can happen before the design is even approved by Minerals Commission. So when the design gets approved, the construction of it, we get checked by what we said we're going to do if we're doing it. Now, we've constructed it. People have to operate it. Are people obeying the operating procedure or not? So all these are controls. So if people are obeying the procedure and something goes wrong, somebody disobeys something, then there is an accident. There is an accident. Do we have emergency response team? Paramedics, etc., to respond to the accident and make sure that if people are injured, they are taken care of. That is the first aid aspect. And you can translate that to our own nation. On the roads, how many accidents do we have?
So many
a lot
this
of
year.
them.
So many.
We have ambulances, etc., to attend to them. But that is not it all. It starts from the design of the road itself, the construction,
the placing of street lights,
exactly. A whole lot of speed limits, a whole lot of factors come into play. So the controls start failing from design, construction, operation, before it comes to the tail end of the injuries where we need to employ the first aid. So we are looking at safety holistically.
Interesting. Do you want to fill us in on some of the cardinal principles of occupational health and safety?
All right, thank you. And good morning to your viewers. Just as Steve has said, the concept itself talks about protection or preservation of human life. So when it comes to any organizational or occupational health and safety system, you first have to identify the issues that poses the risks to the human being. So the first thing that you need to look at is the identification of the issues and then implementation of systems to manage that risk. Now, once you put in the systems in place, you need to communicate to the workforce. That's the human capital that you are trying to protect. So you need to do training. You create awareness. You need your people to be competent. He mentioned systems or safe operating procedures, if I should put it that way. You need to train the people to understand the risks involved in whatever they are doing and why they should be doing that. Now, when you are developing the system, one key factor is also to ensure that there's communication between the management team and the workforce.
Okay.
So it's a two-way thing. The workforce are the people who are going to implement it. So they need to be involved right from the beginning of the development of the systems.
Okay.
So that when they go to the field or you get the compliance that we require to make them safe. Otherwise, it will be like you are imposing something on them, and then they will not be working according to those standards that we've put in place.
No, I totally get that. Did you want to add something to?
I think he said it all.
He said it. But I mean, this is just a little bit off, our line of questioning. But I'm interested to know, how do you get the average Ghanaian worker to comply with these things? Because, we have a mind of our own on everything, and there's the rules and then there's us, so... And considering how important safety is and what it means when something happens. It happens on a large scale when it happens. How do you, get people to really just comply to the rules that you've laid down?
So I think when Joe was talking, he talked about design. Now, the issue that you are raising has to do with the behavioral aspect. Now, let me use myself for example, all right? Before my close relations, some of them, before they started learning how to drive, they were not complying with the use of seatbelts.
Okay.
Now, the seatbelt has been designed for the safety of the human being. In case there's an accident, a vehicular accident, the seatbelt protects you from being thrown off board. So it's something that I used to educate my close family. And they'll tell you, please, Mr. Safety Man, it ends at your workplace, not at it. But consistently, the awareness creation, they see me doing it. Leadership by example. We walk the talk. You don't just preach it. They see you do it. And I believe that if we see a lot of people complying with those things, the industry, the mining industry itself, it's a small area as compared to the general populace. But if those of us in the industry replicate what we do at the workplace in the general public, you see that some of our friends, our colleagues will also pick up, and then they will have that cultural change. And I believe if we are able to do it progressively, at a point in time, you see that our people will be complying with the safety protocols.
Okay. That sounds hopeful. You give me hope. Did you want to add?
No, just to let you know exactly what happens in the mining industry. So it's a requirement that before anybody starts work in the mining industry, there's what we call induction.
Okay.
The induction is what tells you what we do, what are the hazards, the risks associated with what we do, and the controls. And it tells you, because of that, you need to use your PPE, and you know what kind of PPE to use, and you are trained as to how to use it. And then there are procedures that you need to read, and you've been trained in it already. So you have series of protocols that we go through. Before you start any task, you need to do a risk assessment.
Okay.
The risk assessment, identify controls, and fix them before you start work. And it's stringent, it's legal.
Okay.
So you can't come into the mining industry and just say
Misbehave.
that, yeah, so
I'll do what I want.
we have our own protocols.
Okay. Okay, that sounds good. Let's talk about COVID-19 because it affected all of us. But
Sure.
what are some of the crucial lessons that you guys were able to pick up on the enforcement of the protocols, in your communities?
Yeah.
All right, let me take that one. With the enforcement, we all know that, from now, majority of the populace know that the stringent measures that we put in place actually help with the reduction of the spreading of the disease.
Okay.
Such like what the government was doing nationwide, identifying those who had the virus, isolating them, and then treating them. Now, in our area, one of the lessons that we learned was that our emergency response did not cover much of a pandemic. So when it came to identification and isolation of those who have been infected, you need to quarantine them somewhere. So we hurriedly had to create isolation centers on our mind.
Yeah.
And so what we've done is that we have revised our emergency response procedures to include pandemics, and now we have system in place to actually manage when we have those things. Another key thing that is worth mentioning is that we also had to manage the myth within the community. Because as of now, there are still a lot of people within the communities who do not believe that COVID-19 exists.
Yeah.
So we needed to do a lot of mind changing, awareness campaign, people coming as coming to give their own personal stories for them to understand. And then those who were also treated, you remember initially some were saying that when you go for treatment, it affects your manhood and other. So there are a lot of myths within the community, and that is one of the things that we needed to tackle.
Okay.
And then for the mines, it's easier because we already abide by rules and regulations.
Okay.
So in terms of the general personal hygiene protocols, we were doing them. And then we also assisted the community by providing the necessary hand washing facilities, water, sanitizers, and all the other stuff. And then kept on encouraging them. So almost every time we were on the radio, community centers, broadcasting, and educating the people on how to prevent the spread of the disease within the... Another issue that we also challenged that we picked was stigmatization. Initially, those who were showing signs of the disease were not willing to come forward.
Yeah.
So again, we needed to educate the masses that it was okay for you to come and then create a different mindset within the community. So that's basically one of the few challenges that we had when we came to the enforcement of the COVID-19 protocols within our communities.
Okay, sure. Do you want to add anything?
No, I guess the focus on the preventives.
Okay.
Right. So, and then the preventives not only within the companies,
okay,
but also the communities in which we operate.
Yeah.
I know from Anglo Gold, Ashanti or Boise, for instance, when the peak of the COVID-19, came in, I don't know if you remember, even getting sanitizers was an issue.
A problem. Yeah, it was serious.
Yeah, and we did our own sanitizers.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Okay.
And as I speak, even the Chamber of Mines uses it. Our communities, we distribute to our communities, the schools and the workers, and it's for free. Okay. We don't sell. I mean, it's FDA approved.
Oh, nice.
And
okay.
But we don't sell.
That's good. Yeah.
Actually, we can even give you some. But you see, these are some of the preventives. And then the social distancing in buses, in the offices, masks, and then the job rotation. Some of the jobs that can be done from home. Those people are working from home. And so that the population density in the work office area will be reduced. And so focus on the preventives helped a lot. Yeah, so it's a combination of the preventives as well as the reactives, right?
Okay. So before you go, do you want to just walk us through some of the practical ways that we can keep a safety mindset at all times and everything, gosh, especially on our roads, in our communities, just, being safe?
I can say some of the practical ways is what you and I are doing here now, to sensitize the public for people to get their understanding. But I think on a more serious note, we as not only the mining industry, as a nation and as a citizen, I think we need to understand the concept of health and safety and take it serious. Because it's not only in the mining industry. I know the oil and gas industry has a good safety culture and that kind of thing, but it has to translate into the way we live, the way we do our things from home, etc. And so it all boils down to education, you know, sensitizing people, getting the mindset changed. You know, it's a continual education thing. Yeah, and that is what I was. I don't know if you can add something.
I think you said it all.
Okay.
You know, it boils down to the education, awareness creation. And I think we should also use the opportunity. Sometimes people tend to believe or accept things when they see them pictorial or videos. So on our routes, for instance, sometimes recently we engaged the drivers union in our municipality because of the nature of the accidents that we were. And some of them came out and they actually appreciated the program that we did. So it's the awareness creation, engaging the people, and the more you drum the noise into their ears, then people become used to the safety protocols that they are supposed to follow on their roads.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we wish you all the best. I hope that you continue to make a great impact on the communities that you're with. So, okay, so we're going to move on now. Actually, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be bringing you all the NSMQ updates and showbiz as well. Stay tuned in. Don't go anywhere.